Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden coming to you from Bowlesbrook Road in Woodford, Vermont, one of my favorite places in the world. And as I'm out here today, I'm thinking about some conversations that I've had recently and some questions and comments about sleep and specifically about nighttime. How to get yourself to end the day in a positive space. I know a lot of people really struggle with getting themselves into bed or getting themselves to let go of the day and go to sleep and feeling good in that process. People tend to stay up late and we tend to binge surf or binge watch or binge whatever, but we're afraid to put ourselves down. And in one of these conversations, someone said that they had recently stayed up till after 3 a.m. And when I heard that, I focused on the word up because I don't think it was descriptive of what they were doing. I think a better way to phrase that is that they had stayed down until after 3 a.m. because they weren't in a positive space of accumulating knowledge or accumulating benefit or increasing some kind of connection. Instead, what they were doing was avoiding something. They were avoiding letting go. They were afraid to let go. And I think this is really, really common, that we're trying to get that next hit. We're trying to somehow make this moment better than the next one. And we're addicted in a way to that next bit of information that's going to somehow make life better than it has been. And we're afraid to let go of that. We're afraid to end the day on a loss. And you see this in Las Vegas, where people will lose money and they don't want to leave the table at a loss. They don't want to leave the casino at a loss. So they keep chasing the money and they'll lose everything. And we do this at night. We are essentially in our own casino of sorts and we're chasing after that money. We're trying to get it back. We don't want to go to bed on a loss. We don't want to end the day feeling like it was a losing day. So we chase. That's what surfing and binge watching is. We're trying to chase a win, an elusive win, an elusive jackpot. So we're not staying up until after 3. We're staying down. We're staying in that state of loss and trying to chase it and chase it and chase it until it turns into a win. We're hoping to transform our losses into wins. That's what we're doing when we're mindlessly engaged all night into the wee hours of the morning. And when I say mindless, I don't mean that our minds are not engaged. It's just that they're engaged to serve some other aspect of our being that we're not really tuned into. And that's where I want to go with this conversation. That we are not one thing. And the one thing that we tend to believe ourselves to be is our consciousness. We think that's all that we are. And when we get stuck in that belief, which is no fault of our own, it's promoted in our culture and it's definitely promoted in our new online internet existence. It's all about your identity. It's all about your brand. It's all about your image and how it's being perceived by others. And it's also mostly about being sedentary. There's a reason that most of my videos are made out in the world while moving, because I'm a very different person. I think very differently. I see or experience the world through very different lenses when I'm moving. And I know that the lenses that I will experience the world through are not going to be positive if I'm sitting and if I'm engaged in social media, which causes me to be self-reflective, self-conscious, self-ranking. So I move and I get away from the computer. I interact with the phone only as a camera or as a means to learn by listening to books. When I'm away from my office in the sense that other people experience an office, I get away from that type of interaction. And I move into a much more empowering office where I use technology to communicate, or I use it to learn and elaborate. But I don't use it to be self-referential. So, when we are sitting in bed or we are sitting at the computer late at night, we're not staying up, we're staying down. And we're stuck in the belief that our consciousness is all there is. And we fail to realize that consciousness evolved simply as a steward of the body, or for the body, for our greater being. And this is one of the things you learn if you've ever studied any type of Eastern philosophy or Eastern spiritual practice, is that consciousness serves your being, not the other way around. But in Western culture, we've been trained by a capitalist economy and capitalist advertising marketing that no, everything else serves your identity, serves your consciousness. And this is a really slippery slope and causes so much suffering. And it causes an identity that feels like it's constantly lacking. And an identity that feels like it is the thing that needs to be bolstered, rather than that consciousness, that identity, bolstering the rest of you. So instead of being stewards of our bodies and beings, we become stewards. We stew, we spin, we sit in our bodies and put food into our bodies, put negativity into our bodies, and just process social information or information about the world that makes us feel worse and worse and worse about our identities, because we're stuck in the belief that our identity is the most significant thing there is. But it's not. It's a tool. It's a steward that's meant to add a dimension of reflection to our body and to our being that most other creatures don't possess. And this gives us an advantage if we can take little bits of that self-reflection. Notice how small my fingers were. Little bits of reflected perspective, and then take it into the world. Move with it. Use it. Engage with it. Use it as a minor course correction. But it's not supposed to be the course or the process or the journey. We were never meant to simply be an identity. That's not what it's for. That's a misuse or misappropriation of a really good tool and a really valuable perspective when experienced in small doses. And you'll hear people in medicine say this, that a poison is only a poison at a particular dosage. Meaning that in small doses it might be really, really beneficial to you. Just like many of the polyphenols or chemicals in plants like kale and broccoli. They're toxic in large doses, but in small doses they're actually really beneficial. And this is known as hormesis. So, same with the mind, same with consciousness, same with the narrative. If we experience it in small doses and then use that to facilitate growth and strength in interaction and engagement, we grow stronger. Just like consuming the toxins in kale in small doses makes our body stronger. But if we were just to sit there all day and consume kale, it would have a negative effect. It would be too much of a good thing. And consciousness and identity are good things in small doses. They're not bad. The ego, so-called, is not bad unless it becomes the only thing that you consume. Then it's too much of a good thing. And this is where we get stuck. We spiral and we stay up. In our minds, we think, but we're really staying down. And if we can move from the perspective of the stewer into the perspective of the steward, taking care of this body, taking care of this journey, of this process, then we realize that, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm stuck in consciousness. I'm stuck in a self-reflective state. I'm stuck in my identity. I'm stuck in, what do I mean in this world? I'm stuck in a measurement of my significance. Rather than looking down and saying, hey, there's a body here and it's suffering. And I'm feeding it too much food, and I'm feeding it too much information, and I'm just feeding it too much time. And I need to back up, and I need to put it down. There are states that are better than consciousness at certain times. And late at night, sleep is a much better state to be in than being conscious. Consciousness is not a useful state late at night. It's actually a damaging state. So we have to learn to wean ourselves off of this addiction to consciousness that we have. We're addicted to it. We're afraid to let it go because we think it's all there is. And again, we're afraid to cut our losses. We are loss averse. And we want to hit the jackpot. The next click on Facebook, the next video that I watch on YouTube, that's going to be the one. The next profile on a dating site, whatever it is, you're hoping that the next one is going to be the one that changes everything. You got to cut your losses. You got to let go of your consciousness. You have to allow yourself to be a steward of your body and of your greater being. You have to let go. You have to forgive the losses of the day and move on, or move down and away from this clinging to consciousness, from this clinging to your identity being somehow significant in the world. So I hope there's some value in those thoughts for you. I know it's probably a little deep for most, but you got to go deep. You got to let yourself sleep. You got to let go of this constant need to be conscious and significant, because it's killing you. It's killing you, and it's keeping you in a state of near constant suffering and anxiety, and the need to try to fill voids that cannot be filled, because that's not what consciousness is there for. It's there to be your steward. So go to sleep, lie down, and let go. And let yourself go under! All right. I hope there's some value there for you. If you have comments, leave them. Let's have a conversation about this. Even if I don't address it in a comment, I'll address it in a future video. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If it made you think, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this channel, subscribe. And if you want to see this conversation grow, come on over to Patreon. $1 or $2 a month, and you keep me from tripping and falling on my face. All right. I will see you soon. Bye. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Tim. I'm tripping. Don't be tripping, yo. I'm out in the woods and I'm tripping.